In a time where music moves faster than ever, new voices appear every day, some loud, some fleeting, but every once in a while, one voice cuts through the noise. Just a voice, a guitar, and a name written in lowercase. At the time, she was still a student, still figuring herself out, still writing songs as part of everyday life. But sometimes, all it takes is a 15-year-old genius to set the trend itself. This is Tuki. She chose the name Tsuki, meaning moon in Japanese, because she's always been drawn to the moon and its mysterious image, and music has always been a part of her world. She learned the piano from a young age and grew up in a home where music was always playing. Her parents often listened to Nico Touches the Walls, and even as a child, she was brought to many of their live shows and remembers being struck by how powerful their live performances felt. That emotion stayed with her and served as motivation for her to continue down the path of music. All she needed was something to spark it, and when COVID forced the world to slow down, she found it in her father's guitar. The real turning point came when she was 13 years old during COVID. Schools were closed and she was spending most of the time at home. During that period, she began playing her father's guitar, which was already in the house. And this was when many of us started trying new things, because realistically, there really was nothing else to do. Much like us, out of boredom more than ambition, she picked it up. And this moment, she later said, is where everything truly began. The first song she learned on the guitar was Magic Carpet by Kawasaki Takaya. And this wasn't a decision to become an artist, it was just something done spontaneously. From this point on, she would start uploading her covers to TikTok, and since she already watches TikTok regularly, posting covers was just something she did as a hobby. But her first video went viral, which completely caught her off guard, and even her friends, some of the only other people who knew about her music, were just as surprised as she was. Even after going viral, her mindset didn't change much. She still sees music as something close to a hobby, but knowing that people are listening has made her more aware of her daily life. Rather than focusing on sales or numbers, she has said that she simply wants to keep singing. Even as her audience grew, the way she writes her songs still stayed consistent. She started making original songs in elementary school, not with a goal, but because it felt natural. One moment she often comes back to is a conversation with her father, who told her that an average person only has about 30,000 days to live. She thought about it and realized that she had already lived for about 5,000 days. That sense of time passing faster than expected became a motivation for her. At an age when most people aren't thinking beyond tomorrow, Tsuki was already thinking about how limited life is. And that mindset eventually led to Bansanka, which is her most popular song to date. The idea behind Bansanka came from fragments of daily life. Tsuki was learning about the Last Supper in art class, and it was the first time she heard the word bansan, which translates to dinner in Japanese, and this word really piqued her interest. That, along with the conversation with her father, really got her motivated to write this song. The original title of the song was Full Course, and interestingly enough, Tsuki wasn't confident in the song. She said that there were other songs that she believed in more at the time. Despite that, this became the song that would change her life. Looking at the lyrics of Bansanka, the chorus progresses from Nanjukai to Namankai, and this closely echoes her father's words that a person only has 30,000 days to live. Read that way, the song isn't just about a final meal, it's about a love so deep it lasts across a lifetime. Something remembered through tens of thousands of nights. What's most impressive about the song is how Tsuki captures love at its most complicated, the inner turmoil of hurting someone you care about, knowing you're the reason they're in pain, and still wanting them by your side. It's loving someone deeply while knowing you won't or can't change the part of yourself that caused the pain. This contradiction sits at the center of Bansanka. In that sense, Bansanka shares a similar emotional weight with The Last Supper. Both capture the tension between love and betrayal, the sense of knowing something is ending, and the inevitability of a difficult choice. Just as Judas sits at the table, aware of what's about to happen, the narrator of Bansanka sits with the pain of hurting someone they love, knowing they can't undo it. Despite being fairly new to the scene, Tsuki has already showcased incredible talent in writing lyrics. And here are some interesting facts about the song. The artwork for the song was created by Demizu Posca, who is the illustrator for The Promised Neverland, one of Tsuki's favorite mangas. It was a complete surprise, arranged by her father, whose friends had connections with the artist. And you can imagine how ecstatic she must have been when she found out. Besides that, to record the song professionally, Tsuki even borrowed money from her father to book studio time, a small but important step that showed just how committed she was to bringing her music to life. And Bansanka isn't an exception, it's an example of how Tuki writes, and it shows the influences and observations that shape her music. The lyrics are inspired by her own feelings, friends' love stories, family conversations, anime, manga, you name it. Her song Ichirinka was inspired by Jujutsu Kaisen, particularly by the character Suguru Gedo and his descent into darkness. The line Aiba Kitoitayo reflects the moment Gedo and Gojo's paths diverge. Once inseparable, the two strongest sorcerers of Jujutsu High now forced onto opposite sides. Best friends turned enemies, and even if they were to cross paths again, it could never be a joyful reunion. Another line, Watashi wa Ichirinka, captures Gedo's isolation. No one truly understands him. He walks alone, burdened by his ideals and the world he believes must be created. By the end of the song, the lyrics change to Nakanayo Ichirinka, and it's a quiet but powerful change, because even through the pain, loneliness, and loss, the only option left for him is to stand firm and continue forward to see the ideal world come to life. Beyond the stories of her songs, what draws people to Tsuki is the sound itself. Most of her songs are built around simple foundations, acoustic guitar, restrained arrangements, and melodies that never try to overpower her voice. Her voice carries a softness that never feels weak, a kind of fragile strength that makes every word feel personal. There's a clarity to the way she sings, almost like she's speaking directly to the listener, even when the production is minimal. Her melodies often feel simple on the surface, but they linger. They stay with you in the quiet moments. Even when she repeats the same lines, her voice never stays still. Her tone shifts from soft to strained, from fragile to steady, giving each repetition a different emotional color, as if the meaning changes every time she sings it. There's a warmth in her tone that feels nostalgic, even when you're hearing her for the first time. And because she writes from observation rather than performance, her delivery never feels forced. It feels lived in, like she's letting you overhear a thought she wasn't planning to share. It's this combination of softness, honesty, and emotional precision that makes her music stand out. Even before people knew her age, her voice carried the kind of weight that made listeners stop and wonder who she was. To form these ideas, Tsuki relies heavily on the instruments she has on hand, and those instruments shape how she writes. On guitar, she thinks linearly, moving chord to chord, and on the piano, the possibilities feel endless, giving her room to explore more complex melodies. This range gives her a unique advantage as a composer, letting her craft songs that can feel both simple and intricate. And the remarkable thing is she began composing almost immediately after picking up the guitar. Her peak isn't behind her, it's barely begun. One of the most interesting things to watch now is how her composition will evolve as she gains experience not just with instruments but with the music scene itself. Despite the growing fame, Tsuki keeps her identity mostly private. Only close friends know what she's been doing, and they've supported her since the beginning, even teasing her at school at times. Her reason for staying anonymous is simple. She always wanted to work in music, not necessarily to be seen, but for her love of music. Whether her songs sell or not, she just wants to keep singing for as long as she can. Tsuki isn't chasing a destination. She hasn't imagined huge stages or a fixed future. She just hopes to keep making music until the day she dies. Her favorite full-course dinner? Chicken namban, an innocent, honest answer from an artist whose music already carries the weight of time. And like so many J-pop artists before her, Tsuki shows that as long as there's passion, as long as the moon still hangs above us, there is always time to try. Through the bright crescents and the shadowed faces, through inexperience and imperfections, music keeps finding its way outward, crossing borders, crossing hearts, traveling the world the way the moonlight does. Soft, steady, and always, always shining.